Hey everyone, it's Coach Christine and welcome to this week's edition of Christine's Kitchen. All right, we are in May and everybody's getting ready to go camping and the weather is nice and all of these amazing, yummy, savory and sweet treats are at your fingertips every time you walk through the market. So we are going to learn over the next few weeks a handful of great recipes that are sure to be kind to your waistline, but also make you feel like you got to cheat and be a little bit indulgent. So first up on the docket, we are going to be making a breakfast pastry. We're doing a zucchini carrot bread. You heard me, I said zucchini carrot. It's going to be amazing. This is great for a couple of reasons. One, it's packed with nutrients from having all of these great healthy ingredients. We're also keeping the sugar content down a little bit lower and using a few simple swaps on the ingredients. Also, when you're doing a zucchini bread, it's something that's easy to just wrap in a little bit of parchment and saran wrap, throw it in your bag. It stays fresh, unrefrigerated for 2 to 3 days. If you have it in the refrigerator, it will still hold for 3 to 4. Plus, if you make lots, you can freeze it and grab it on your next trip out. Easy to slice, perfect on its own, or even adding a little bit of honey or cream cheese or butter, whatever your flavor, you get to pick. But it's a great healthy recipe. And since the sun's out and I want a pastry, that's what we're making today. All right, you guys, you only need a couple of basic ingredients. So we need a zucchini, obviously, and a carrot. The reason that I am grabbing these is because if you shred each of these, they will yield about the approximate amount for the recipe. So we are going to do all of the wet ingredients first, then all the dry ingredients, mix them together, put them in a pan, put them in the oven, bake them for an hour, call it a day. While you're getting everything out, you want to heat your oven to 350 degrees. And once it's preheated, you will be ready to rock and roll. All right, let's jump right into this today. We are going to be starting with your shredded zucchini. You can grate this skin on or off. I tend to keep the skin on because so often when you're looking at vegetables, the skin itself is packed with nutrients. So just make sure that you wash them and then go ahead and shred it with the skin on. This should yield approximately 2 cups of shredded zucchini. If they're the little guys at the store, you probably want 2. If it's a big zucchini from your garden, you probably just want 1. So choose your battle. We are just going to be putting this back into my giant measuring cup here to save on dishes. So we'll start with the 2 cups of zucchini. Then you're going to add your shredded carrot. Like I said, I just did 1 carrot and that yields about a cup of shredded carrot. Added bonus, less work for me later. And it doesn't have to be an exact when you're looking at the zucchini and the carrot. You want them near what those measurements should be. But if you go off just a smidge, don't worry about it, you're fine. All right, the rest of the liquid ingredients, you need a tablespoon of vanilla. You also are going to need 3 eggs. If you are going plant-based or dairy-free, I have an option that's the Just Egg, which is an egg substitute. And it's completely non-dairy and egg-free. You could also substitute 3 flax eggs, totally fine. You will add that to your mixture. So you could check off eggs and vanilla now. Then you have 3/4 of a cup of oil. Now you want to use a vegetable oil or a very light flavored olive oil. Either of them are going to work just fine, but this is going to add a lot of moisture and help bind everything together to keep this bread gooey and delicious and yummy. Okay, oil's done. That was super easy. All of your wet ingredients done, ready to rock and roll. Then you're going to have your dry ingredients. So we're going to start with 2 cups of flour. You can do an all-purpose flour. You're welcome to do a gluten-free flour. The only thing that I would tend to stay away from is a coconut flour. And the reason for that, when you're substituting with a lot of coconut flours, they are super absorbent. And so it will really dry your recipe out. So try to do, if you have to be gluten-free, Bob's Red Mill does an amazing gluten-free all-purpose flour for baking. No texture flavor differences. We are using 3/4 cups of coconut sugar in this. Now I'm opting for the coconut sugar over the regular sugar just from the less processing. Also, it's going to give a little bit of more warmth and savory taste to our zucchini bread. So you're going to take that and just sift it together. Just use I just have the rubber spatula. If you don't have a sifter at home, I don't have a fancy one. So, sometimes you just got to start. Onto that, you want to take 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and then a tablespoon of cinnamon. Add that to your dry mixture. Super easy. Those ingredients are done. Let's check them off out of the way. And now that you have both of them mixed together on their own, you're gonna mix them all into one bowl. Seriously, what are we at, like 5 minutes? F that. And the shredding time, honestly, if you don't like to use your shredder, then have someone else in the family do it. But honestly, it was like, I don't know. It took me maybe 3 or 4 minutes to shred the carrots and the zucchini. Not a big deal at all. So you're gonna take all of these ingredients and mix them together until they create a nice smooth batter. Now, once your mixture is complete, it's going to look like this ooey gooey pile of happiness. And we're basically going to want to have our bread pans already prepped. So I just like to use the disposable ones. It's a little bit easier if you have a glass one or a regular bread baking tin at home. Either spray it really well with some baking cooking spray, or a great tip is to line them with parchment paper. That way when you take it out of the oven, you could just flip them, no worrying about sticking, and you already have its parchment paper once it cools if you need to wrap it and store it for later. So great trick to use. Now this amount of batter will make 2 loaves. So to make it a little easier, we're just gonna divide it into half in our bowl here. I say that loosely that it'll be easier. We'll find out when I pour it in. And then you're just going to take the batter and put it into your parchment lined bread pan. Couple of things to think about when you're using zucchini in other recipes. It often will call to have it patted dry once you shred it. And you really want to make sure you do not do that. Keep it as moist as it is. The zucchini naturally has a ton of water in it, and you really want to make sure that you have that, because this recipe is going to need all of the moisture to absorb the coconut sugar and the flour without drying out your bread. Nobody likes super dry bread. I mean, you might, but it ain't me. So let's just make it right the first time. You're gonna get all of your stuff here. There are a gazillion ways that you can add on to this recipe. Some people really like to do chocolate chips. So maybe you grab a few mini dark chocolate chips to add in. If you are more of a fruit fan, maybe add some dried cranberries to this. I'm gonna keep it pure and simple, but we will garnish with some chopped pecans on the top. Let me show you what this looks like here. Just get that last little bit off of the spatula. Okay, so to level it out, you always just take it and pat your pan out like so. You got batter on your hand? Lick it. And I'll tell you what, that is some mighty tasty batter. So I am very excited about the bread that will ensue after this. All right, here we go. 2 loaf pans, ready to rock and roll. We're gonna add a little bit of garnish to it, taking some chopped pecans. Not a ton. If I was measuring this out, and I'm eyeballing it, obviously, I would say that I have approximately a tablespoon of pecans that's just gonna crumble over the top of each loaf. There we go. Just a few to add a little bit of extra texture and crunch as it bakes. Perfect. That's all that there is to it. You're going to take your loaf pans. We're going to put them into our heated oven. It should be at 350 degrees already. We are going to bake these for 1 hour. And then once they are done, we will check back in and see how amazing and how easy it is to get them out of the pan. They're going to be perfect. See you soon. Okay, friends, a moment of truth. We have the bread out of the oven. We've had it cooling on a rack for about a half hour just to make sure that it comes back to room temperature. Now, we're going to take our loaf. We're going to try to remove the parchment paper. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Easy breezy. What did I tell you? Best trick ever. You have your parchment paper ready to open up. You can just cut into this. Oh my gosh, it's so warm. It smells so good. I wish you guys could see it. But alas, you have your loaf of zucchini bread, your pecans are on top, it is ready to go. Cut this into 6 or 8 portion-sized slices and enjoy a healthy and slightly less guilty breakfast indulgence if you are into your pastries for the morning. This is great to travel with, like I said, and super easy, guaranteed to please lots. Plus, with that leftover, you could also be neighbor extraordinaire, wrap it up, put a bow, and give it to your neighbors. It's a great way to share healthy cooking and not have too much extra around the house. That's all for today, so thank you guys for watching. From my kitchen to yours, enjoy the sunshine this weekend, and we will see you next time.